Okie dokie. So, continuing with this question on diet and its effect on diabetes and blood glucose levels with reference to the food compounds in table 4.1, which we looked at. Just let me remove that. I'll scroll up if you haven't seen that table. And so that table here looks at sucrose, lactose, starch, cellulose, and its effect on glucose concentration and insulin levels. So, coming back to this question, let's just scroll back down. You can freeze that and have a look at it if you haven't seen the previous, if you haven't looked at the video on question A. With reference to food compounds, table 4.1, explain how a person with type 2 diabetes could control the condition by modifying their diet. Again, it's a 3 marker, and I'm going to go through a little bit more than this 3. So let's have a look. Looking from the table, starch had a massive effect. So my first point, I would say decrease starch content in diet, because starch has a huge impact on the amount of glucose in the blood. So decrease starch. What else? And for the second mark, we'll decrease starch as it has, as I just said, a big effect. Big effect, or the greatest effect. Big effect on glucose. Glucose blood concentration, or glucose concentration in the blood. Actually, I think this Bluetooth tablet I need to write slower. It has the biggest effect, or a big effect on the glucose concentration in the blood. And you should do things like increase your cellulose or roughage, increase in your diet your cellulose, increase cellulose content of your food, cellulose content. And the other term that, and I just mentioned it in terms of cellulose in your diet, is roughage. So increase the amount of roughage in your diet. Let's put that in brackets up there. So I've got 3 marks already, but the other kind of things we can talk about is you can have some. So you want to have some lactose. Not too much, but some lactose in your diet. Some sucrose in your diet, because they didn't have a massive effect on your blood sugar levels. But when I take some, you still have to, and for another mark, say you've got to control these. You must control these. Control or put a limit. Unlike me, who I am now at the age of 40, where I have some chance of developing type 2 diabetes. I love my cream cakes. Well, okie dokie. So that's what we've got to 5 points that we can make for a 3 marker. All right, let's clear that. And let's scroll down. Let's scroll down to the next question. Glycogen and glucogon are compounds that are involved in the control of blood glucose concentration. Complete the table below to distinguish. So we want to distinguish. Let's put a distinguish between these compounds. So, type of compound, glycogen. This is a, what we would say, polysaccharide. Forgive the spelling. Polysaccharide. While glucagon is a hormone. Well, not just that it's a hormone. This is a hormone that's a protein. Okay, the role of the compound. Well, glycogen is for storage. It's storage of energy, of the carbohydrate, of glucose. And it's there to provide glucose when blood glucose level falls. So glucose and glucose conc drops. So as soon as it's a lot like starch in that it's a polysaccharide. As soon as blood concentration drops of glucose, it's broken down Um, it's broken down by, can we fit it here? Glycogenolysis. So we could put glycogenolysis down here as well. Not neogenesis, glycogenolysis. We can't fit it, glycogenolysis. Well, you get it, you can hear me say it. So glycogenolysis. What's the role of the compound? And this time looking at glucogon. It's to bind to the cell receptors. Bind to cell receptors. Okay. Bind to cell receptors. Site of production. Well, we're coming back to bind to cell receptors. There's lots of other things we can say. It stimulates glycogenolysis. Increases blood concentration, blood glucose concentration. That's its job. Site of production. Glycogen is produced in the liver. It's actually produced in the hepatocytes. But you get a mark for either one of these. While glucogon is produced in the alpha cells of the islets, the Langerhans, in the pancreas. Okay, I think I've put lots of different stuff in there. And there you go. That's that one.